Now I was thinking, I just got to work on making some more things from Just Dire Things, but I've encountered a little bit of a problem. Well, the crafting recipes are going to take some time to produce, and I'm going to have to kind of go through each individual one, and I got to craft everything individually. And well, that is becoming quite the pain. So, what if today we automate it? You may be thinking, automate what? Well, actually, a couple of things. First and foremost, definitely getting the alloys automated. So making all of the alloys with our goo, essentially. And we should be able to do this upon request with Applied Energistics. So what I've done is I've made myself a little Just Dire Things hole in the ground. And I want a way to teleport here, and I'm actually going to use Just Dire Things for this. Also, definitely count how many times I say Just Dire Things in this Just Dire Things episode. But in all seriousness, I do need to get a way to, well, get down here, and we can actually use this simple swapper from Just Dire Things. And this will also be an introduction into what this thing can even do in the first place. So by placing it down, it does nothing on its own right. But if we use a ferrite core wrench on it, we can then store that location, and then we can take the other simple swapper and we can put it in another location. And you may be getting the idea of what this thing does. Well, it swaps things, but not just anything, not just me and not just entities. It can swap blocks as well. So a pretty cool thing. By default, it's set to just receive a redstone pulse, and we need to then link two together. So now these two are bound, and this will be green when they are connected. And so if we place this block on top of here, and I, for example, got a button to give it a redstone pulse, which is set to by default, it's going to take that block from that location and it just threw it to the other area. And then if I hit this again, it's going to bring it back. That's pretty darn cool. And the advanced version, I do believe, can pick up blocks from an area and transfer them. So this could be pretty powerful. Now, by default, blocks are targeted, but the entities are not. But if I go ahead and roll this back one, you have a ton of options. You can do players, specifically child mobs. There's a lot of automation potential with this simple swapper. And if we stand here, and I have it, by the way, set to entities, I can right-click the button here, and it now teleports me to this location. So pretty darn cool. And we can do the same thing for this one. And I can just simply place a button down for right now. And I have the ability to teleport back and forth from one location to another. And this is going to be the area where we automate some Just Dire Things. So now let's get into how we're going to automate the Shadow Pulse goo. So I did test out using a simple clicker on this to click the product on here that is required for this. But what I have found is that it can click and then place the block above, which is not exactly what I want it to do. So I think instead of using the simple clicker, instead I'm going to use modular router. I think the advanced clicker though gives you a little bit more control on what you're actually clicking. But I do know the modular router in the activation module just by default should work just fine. So we can place this down, and then on our activator module, this just needs to be right clicking up. So with this in, it should right click here, but not actually extend anymore. And so if I pull this out real quick and I break this to have this reactivate and need a new fuel, which this block has to be fueled, we can then put this in and we should see that that activated, and you can see right here, it is no longer running. Now this will last a couple of operations before it is finished and before it gets all used up. So I don't even know if we're going to need to really put too much Skulk in here, but we could definitely export Skulk for right now. I just don't have Skulk actually automated. Now that is just one part of this puzzle that we're working on, because the other part of the puzzle is placing the thing on top of this block. And for that, we can use an advanced placer, or we can use annihilation planes potentially. I would actually prefer to use possibly modular routers again. That way I can request an item to go into the placer, and then on the other side, I can have an annihilation plane, for example, from AE. Now, actually, the more I thought about this, the more I'm like, maybe this is actually not the best idea to use modular routers. But instead, what if we take the power of AE And we use the formation plane and the annihilation plane for this. It's, for one, going to look a whole lot cleaner for this operation, but two, it also lets me show you how the formation plane works, because in my opinion, this is probably one of the most complicated parts of applied energistics. Now, the best way to show this is by simply showing it in action. So what we're going to end up doing is we are going to have a pattern provider. This pattern provider is going to fill an inventory. And so I'll put the pattern provider, for example, right here, and it's going to push ingredients into this barrel. Now, what we're going to need for the formation plane is a separate set of cables that's going to run over here, and then we're going to have our formation plane. And what this is going to do is we are going to have an importer on this bus, on this new set of cables. And that importer is going to essentially go, hey, send this somewhere. It's on its own network. So anything that is in this container, this is going to try and place. Now, right now, this doesn't have any power, but we're going to get some power on it here in a second. So let's actually test this out. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and put some power on here. So we can do that with one of these, the crystal resonant generators. This is actually something that's super easy for us to make. I just got to make sure I have enough of these crystals. So there we go. That will definitely give this a good amount of power. I do plan on actually routing a cable around the backside of this from this line and then using a quartz fiber to power this up. But let's go ahead and test and see if this works. If I place moss into the barrel, that importer should take this and then place it through the formation plane. So it's basically treating the formation plane as an inventory, but the inventory is the block space in front of it, essentially. So with this knowledge, we now know that the pattern provider can send the blocks into here. This will then place the blocks. Now we need to break very specific blocks with Silk Touch. And I think one of the best ways to do that is by using a interface right here connected to the main network and then separating our network by using a storage bus. So technically, this storage bus, as you can see right here, recursive networking, this is actually a subnet. So this now is not attached to the main network. It is instead reading the inventory of the interface, which will also allow us to store things into our interface, which is pretty darn cool in my opinion. And we can do this with the annihilation plane. So we can place this here, and now we can specifically determine exactly what we want in here. And the best way to do this is probably by pulling up the just dire things. And what we can do is drag in any of these items that we're going to potentially want to farm in this method. I know not all of these are the things we're going to want, but I'm going to go ahead and just drag everything in here. Now, just for my sanity, what I'll do is I'm going to place some quartz fiber here, and I'm going to run a cable through the top, and then I will connect this power to the top. And this is simply to just power these two subnets. Now, this right here is not going to produce exactly what I want because my annihilation plane needs Silk Touch on it. So actually, let's head on over, and I'm going to show you how simple it is to put Silk Touch on here. If you've not done this already or seen me do this already, it honestly is pretty easy. You place it directly in the enchantment table, and it will produce the enchant you want. So yeah, you'll see unbreaking here, efficiency. If we put this on here, I have gotten rolls very, very quickly where you just get Silk Touch. Yeah, so there we go. We have Silk Touch and unbreaking. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about unbreaking, but the Silk Touch is definitely the enchant we need. So now when making these recipes, we just need to take this right here, the block of iron, and receive this as the output. And that's what the recipes need to look like. So with the patterns now in the pattern provider, and I go to just dire things, I can, for example, request the ferrite. So let's do this. Let's see if it works. It placed it in, and I can't see the transformation happening unless I'm like this. Then we see the transformation happening, and as soon as it converts, oh boy, it gets picked up and then completes the autocraft. So then we just need to do the processing from here by putting it in the enrichment chamber. Now, what if I told you there was a way to use Industrial Foregoing that we set up last episode and use it to actually tick accelerate this block to make it go snappy fast? And what if I told you for that, we're going to have to milk the wither? Yeah, that was one of the most disgusting lines I think I've ever said since I've been making videos. So yeah, that means we have to intentionally summon in the Warden, and I'm gonna see if I can catch it in a creature catcher. Now that we have creative flight, the Warden doesn't pose as much of a threat, but we just got to get the darn thing to spawn, which typically takes a few tries, right? Like three shrieks or more. Aha! And there we go. We now have the Warden, and yeah, I want to try and use the creature catcher on it. Beautiful, and now we have a Warden in a jar. So to set this up, essentially you're going to use 2 stasis chambers, and this is to heal the actual Warden, because the Warden's going to take damage whenever we're actually milking it. But it needs to be just like the Wither. We're going to have 3 blocks up, and we're going to use a soul laser base. And this is going to be the start of something quite insane. Now I'm going to surround this temporarily with some stone. For good reason, because we need to place in some lasers around the outside. And I do want to place a few of them in a very particular location, but you can place these lasers in just like all of the other lasers that we placed in last episode. So I went ahead and crafted up 8 of these, and I just want to place them right here. And just like the other setups, right? These need to be facing this direction, or facing the direction towards the actual laser base itself. So there we go. These are all facing in just like this, and I can get them powered up and all of that good stuff, and we're almost ready to place in the Warden. And now with this, it should be ready for the fun. I just got to get this guy to spawn right there. And, well, he didn't spawn where I wanted it to spawn, technically. So let's pick it back up and try again. Thankfully, it's not too difficult. See if we can get him to stand. There we go. Beautiful. And so this guy is just looking straight up at this thing. Very interesting, but this is being drained, and we should start to see Soul Surge slowly but surely building up. Now, I need to accelerate these machines, but once I start accelerating, I'm almost positive this guy is going to start to take damage. Now, I have gone ahead and disabled some sounds, but ambient sounds is definitely something I need to get rid of. There is an ambient sound that is definitely dedicated towards the Warden. And to get rid of the dunk 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 sound, it's definitely the animal's Warden ambient sounds. So thankfully that is now gone. And yes, Soul Surge is not built up just yet. We still, I think, have to put a lens in here. And even though it doesn't say it anywhere, it's definitely a blue lens that goes in here. And then we should start to see that build up. So perfect. So now that the lens is in here, will this take damage? Yes. Okay. So now it's taking damage, but it should have also healed, or at least I hope it heals itself over time. Yes, you can see it is healing. It looked like it healed. It went from 94 to 95. It's at 91 to 93 to 94. Yes. So I think the more damage it takes, it will end up healing itself back up. If not, we might need more stasis chambers. It all depends if this is going to kill it too fast. So yeah, so far seems like it's doing just fine with 2 stasis chambers, auto healing it. Perfect. So now that this is up and running, we can now set up the accelerators. So soul surges are the things that actually accelerate. And this is where it's going to be, I think, a little bit of a problem. I don't know if these connect on the sides. It looks like they do. Oh, beautiful. So this all connected just like so can lead up to the top. And just needs to tap into this. So once this is up and running, you can see the souls going through this all. And so this should tick accelerate this block, for example, without needing the temporal pouch. And now with this tick accelerated, let's go ahead and give this a shot and let's see how quickly this can make the ferrite, right? So let's go ahead and request like 10 of these. And let's just see how much faster it is. Oh my gosh. Tremendously fast. So yes, it is so worth having soul surges on here because look how quick this is at processing. Oh my goodness. Now, to fill in the area underneath the Wither, I kind of want to fill it with the ether from the Eternal Starlight. I don't know. There's just something about that feels right. Now I've decided to do a little bit of decorating. As you can see, it looks very, very nice. I have definitely decorated the top with some skulk to kind of make it fit with the Warden, as if like the Warden is spreading some skulk around, even though it is trapped inside of this. Also with some factory blocks. And I thought the darker factory blocks looked really nice here, the wire ones. But the ether gas is in. Look how cool that looks. Oh man, that is actually super nice looking down there. And it's like it can't step in the ether, which the ether, by the way, comes from the Wither, but this is from a different mod, the Eternal Starlight mod. And I also rearranged this a little bit. I added this to the back instead of the very top to make it look a little bit more compact. But man, this is so nice. I now have so much of this. I can request to have, for example, converted. It's going to automatically be generated there and use the ferrite ore. So we now have that automated, all of the other materials. But why would I want to automate all of this? Well, there's a lot of cool things that we can make with Just Dire Things, and I have barely touched really any of it. For example, the portal gun, which I still have yet to make, but now we have the portal gun. I'm hoping I can create a portal here and shift right click. Okay. Oh, there's left and right click just like the actual portal gun. Oh, that is so cool. Now, without shaders, they look like this. So yes, 100% Rick and Morty vibes. And it is exactly what you think it is. You walk straight through it, you're teleported straight through the other side. So there is something I have to try, right? I mean, it is a portal gun after all. Oh, wait. Do we take damage? Hold on. Let me try it again. We'll put the portal... Let's see, this portal needs to go here. And then this portal needs to go here. It has to be done. No, here. Oh, it does work. It does kind of work. Oh, we take quite a bit of damage. And we rapidly accelerate. Oh my god. I had to do this. It's so good. Now, this is cool and all, but there's also an advanced version of this portal gun. This is so fun, though. So this right here, we create left and right, and then shift right click to close both portals. Oh, it's just a work of art. I love what Dire did here. Now, the advanced portal gun kind of goes to a different level. So if we take the advanced portal gun, it takes power, but it also takes this new thing called portal fluid. So I'm assuming as of right now, we really have no use just yet. But I can actually open this up and let's see, is there any information about it? Interesting. Okay, so after reading a little bit about this, if we hit the V key, we then get a menu that pulls up that allows us to store different locations to it. That is going to be pretty nice. Now, here comes the other challenge. We need to make portal fluid. Now, in the book, it talks about making the portal fluid catalyst. And it says right here, note that the unstable version will immediately break down anywhere outside of the end. So we're going to have to do this in the end. So we need to drop that catalyst into the polymorphic fluid. So this is our first time playing with fluids from Just Dire Things. So we have the versatile base fluid essential for crafting other fluids. And it says to create this fluid by dropping polymorphic crystals into water. And it undergoes a unique reaction with various resources. Okay. So specialized fuels serving critical components for fueling crystals. Okay, so this right here, the polymorphic catalyst, is a key ingredient used in transforming water. So we just simply need to toss that polymorphic, I'm guessing, material in there, and the polymorphic just requires netherwort and blaze gold. Okay, so we should be able to make a couple buckets worth of this. And the catalyst we also need for the other fluid as well. But it does have to be next to Shadow Pulse goo, and we need to be in the end. Well, not Shadow Pulse. You need at least the ender version of the goo. So this the one used to make this, which is the Void Shimmer. So if we take out some water and we start to place it here in the end, and we also supply this with its actual food, we should be able to then... Oh, this is going to waterlog. Oh, that is right. I completely forgot about the potential of waterlogging here. Maybe we can use some solid blocks in the corners. Yeah, just to make sure this all works. Oh boy, what a mess I'm making. But anyways, so we have the water and we're going to get it in all four corners for right now. Pull out another bucket. I love that I can pull the buckets directly out of our storage. There we go. And then we just need to toss in the polymorphic catalyst. So I'll toss that in. Oh, and it immediately converts. That's kind of cool. Just like this. And then, last but not least, we then need to do this portal fluid catalyst. So we toss that in. Oh, and then it immediately converts. Oh, cool. But right now it's unstable portal fluid. Ah, so this is where it turns into stable fluid after you leave it next to the goo for a while. So here we go. We now have portal fluid, and I should be able to pick it up with the fluid canisters. Beautiful. Now we have portal fluid. Now, how do I add the portal fluid to the gun? That's a different thing, right? Unless this has a fill mode. Ah, set to fill mode. And there it goes. So I just shift right clicked, and this now filled up our portal gun. And so now I'm assuming we can open this up and set a location and then add a favorite to this. And so we have this and this location, right? So there's that. And there's a portal there. Oh, okay. So I get it. So the right click on the advanced portal gun essentially takes us to our favorited location. So you can use it anywhere. So it's just like a teleportation here. So if I open this menu up and I go, I want to add that to my favorites, it chose that location right here. And then I just right click to place a portal anywhere to take me to that location. Ah, that's actually kind of cool. And it only looks like it uses a very little amount of portal fluid each time you launch this from the looks of it. Like just one millibucket? Am I looking at that correctly? 85, 83. So it uses about 2. It does seem a little bit random. That's pretty neat. And you can go in here and actually rename them, is what it looks like. Edit favorites, end, save, and close. And so now we have an end location here, and I can select that. And I'm assuming if we're in the overworld, right, I can automatically teleport here. So let's try this. So let's go back home. Oh, this is kind of cool. And then I just need to make sure we have that selected. And then I go, you know what? Let's teleport to the end. And boop, there we are. Back to that location. And then it disappears. That's beautiful. And I'm really hoping that the portal fluid that's actually on the gun itself is an indicator of how full the fluid is. Because that's beautiful. That is a beautiful detail if that's the case. And so after filling it all the way up, it 100% is an indicator. Oh man, what a fantastic job. I absolutely love that. And by the way, this definitely looks like the portal gun from Rick and Morty. I love it even more. Oh, and by the way, just in case you were wondering if, entities can travel through them, yes, 100% they can. Now, there's still more things that I definitely want to cover. For example, to be able to make the insta-breaking ability, we are going to need to get into the time crystal. Now, this is going to require something totally different, and we'll get into that later on. It has its whole entire mechanic that does seem pretty cool from what I've read. But for the rest of today's episode, let's take a look at the ore X-ray because, well, we don't have a whole lot more time to be able to explore these crazy parts. But let's take a look at this because I want to end here because this thing is insane and one of my favorite parts of this mod that I have seen so far. I mean, the portal gun is still pretty darn cool, and it's going to take a while for me to actually get used to using it. I did add some new places. For example, AE grids will teleport me right here. Oh, it's fantastic. But let's go ahead and upgrade our pick because we can actually use it on our upgraded pick here. So if I put this here, I add the Eclipse alloy and put that there, we get an upgraded tool. Oh boy. And we also now have the ore X-ray upgrade as well, and we can put that on it. And so what we're going to see happen when I go down underground is absolute insanity. Because just when you thought it was overpowered, this becomes even more overpowered. Whenever I now right-click with the ore enabled, you can see the ores straight through the ground. And yes, it just consumes power. So if you're wanting to know where all those diamonds were hiding, well, just get to this tier and bam, you will be able to find anything and everything underground. The only thing that could make this even more powerful is if there was an ability that showed you where all nearby chests were. Oh man, this is just, it's too much. It's too much. This is right here. Absolutely ridiculous. And it's showing up the way it is because we have night vision on. But yeah, even with night vision off, this still is an unbelievable effect. This kind of X-ray feels like X-ray you would definitely have to pay for. For sure. Okay, and there's still one more thing I definitely want to show, because I did upgrade to the Eclipse Gate wand. And, well, it has a new mode. So we have, of course, the Void Shift, which we were able to use before, but the range looks like it's a bit bigger now. A little bit more specific. And then the Air Burst looks like now it sends you even farther than before. At least it feels like it does. I assume it does. And then we have this new Eclipse Gate, which I can't even... This is definitely a throwback to like Thaumcraft, having the ability to just clear out blocks and then they fill back in as if nothing ever happened. Oh, that is just a beautiful sight to see. And I don't know how this affects other things, so I'd kind of be scared to use this on certain modded items, but it should just bring it right back. But for example, if you did this to your AE system, I don't know if the AE system is just gone temporarily until it comes back. I mean, I guess we could always try it, right? So what does it do? Can you even, maybe I can't, maybe you can't use it on it. Actually, stone, right? Because it just needs to block. And so, okay, thank goodness it doesn't work on, for example, ME controllers and probably machines and stuff like that. But there is just honestly a surprising amount of content to cover with the Just Dire Things mod. Like, there is just so much, and it continues like he's adding more and more every update. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't already, and I recommend exploring it more, just like I did. And now that you know how to automate it, well, that should make life a ton easier. Like, a tremendous amount easier. This setup is honestly not too difficult to set up, and you could use other mods as well. But with that being said, I hope you did enjoy today's episode, and hopefully you learned something new, whether it was about applied energistics, how to set up and automate the goo, I don't know, how about tick accelerating with the Warden. Oh man, if you did enjoy today's episode, be sure to click that subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a huge thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And of course, guys, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Geeks. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over in the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. I thank you guys all so very much. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Comment down below if you thought this episode was extra spicy, and I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, thanks for watching. Bye!